Hello, it's Janello, and today I'm walking you through my camp kitchen. I haven't been backcountry camping in a couple of years. The pandemic, blah, 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 time, etc., etc. I live in New York, and so my backcountry of choice is the Adirondack Mountains. This Wednesday, I'm going to be heading into the backcountry for 3 days with just what's on my back to sustain me. Something I love to do. Things don't beep. There's no emails. There's no people getting in touch with you. You really are at peace. Sticking with the theme of the channel, I thought that I would take you through what 20 years of camp kitchen tuning looks like. And I'll show you all the pieces that I have in my camp kit. So let's jump into it. All right. We're going to start with two items that aren't necessarily kitchen, but they're essential when putting together a camp kitchen because there's your water supply. This is a MSR water purifier, and this is a standard Nalgene bottle. Why I use this combination is because it just plugs in like that. So when you pump, it creates a vacuum and it pumps super, super quick. I could fill this thing up in like 10, 11 pumps and it just pulls water out of the stream with this. The hose obviously attaches to that and then you pump like that. A lot of water filters, like, they're awkward to pump and the hose kinks and whatever. Not with this one. That's why I love this particular product. Next up, let's talk about stove. I've been rocking one of these MSR Pocket Rockets probably 10 years. They are the most efficient, tiniest footprint, lightest stove for the power that it puts out that you can get. It packs into this little, very protective case, barely weighs anything, and attaches right directly to the fuel, which makes it super small. The buddy I usually go with has one of these as well, so we run two of these simultaneously as we work the different dishes. Now, I have been known to go a bit gourmet, but that's not what this video is about, so I'm not going to get into the things that I cook. That'll be another video. We're sticking with the kitchen, but having two stoves that I can use simultaneously helps to get everything prepped and ready so I can plate it all at the same time. Next, cooking pans. Now we got a bunch. These two here are kind of the main saute, and sometimes I boil some water or do soupier stuff in this because it's a little bit deeper. When I have those two stoves going, I can use both of these at the same time. I've got two pan handles that grab on in different ways. So that's for sauteing. This next piece is a piece that I have had for the entire time that I've been camping, but I got it from my dad's Boy Scout kit. And this is my pot that I basically have been boiling water in for the last 30 years of camping. And he's been using it for much longer than that, although he doesn't really do the back camping stuff, but he was a Boy Scout. Look at that patina. Let's talk utensils. One of my favorite hacks of all time is bringing a Frisbee and using it as a cutting board. And the reason why I like that is because the lip of the Frisbee acts as a barrier for food that decides to fly around and move in weird directions. It also provides an easy area to cut on that cleans up well because it's plastic and it won't hold on to bacteria and food as easily as wood would. And also you can put some water or liquid in there and that doesn't slide off the board. Or if you put a piece of meat in there that's gonna maybe let a little bit of juices out, it doesn't run off the board and run all over your camp, which you don't really want. Fragments of food where you're going to sleep in a few hours to keep the critters not necessarily tickling your feet, if you know what I mean. With the cutting board, obviously you need a knife, and I'm not really finicky with my knives. I know some of you out there may be like, dude, you need like a proper knife or a good knife, and I kind of just grab whatever I have at hand on hand. I have used Swiss Army knives. I've used like tactical SOGs. Currently, I'm using this Opinel foldable knife. It gets the job done. I like that it kind of like packs away like that, and I can keep it on my hip if I need it for other things during the trip, during the hike. And it's small enough to kind of work in the area that I need it. I'm not doing any like crazy cutting and chopping, so something like this works just fine. Foldable spatula, super important. And the last two utensils are a spork, which is a spoon and a fork combined together, and this guy, which is a spoon, fork, and it has a little cutting edge right there where you can kind of get in and cut stuff. I don't really use this that much, honestly, but I thought it was really cool. Simple measuring cup, nothing fancy. It just has cups and ounces listed on the inside here. My coffee mug is this titanium Snow Peak. Sometimes I'll even heat stuff up directly in this. These are the primary plates that I use when in the backcountry, and they are 2 used TV dinners, lean cuisines, Weight Watchers, frozen food meals, whatever you want to call them. And because they can take a lot of microwaving and heat and freezing and all that stuff, they're the perfect thing to eat out of and to clean and keep with you for what's now going on maybe 15 years. They make super easy, super light, packable, durable plates. This is an old, as you can see, coffee canister, but I use it to keep things like sugar packets and smaller items in there. This is where I keep my salt and pepper. I stack that full of stuff so that it doesn't explode or crush while in my pack. Great for stuffing all sorts of things that you just want to keep together in your kitchen. Usually what I put in there are 2 squeeze bottles, one always olive oil. The other one depends on what I'm cooking on that particular trip. So the last trip, it was maple syrup because we did pancakes. And a trip before that, it was hot sauce because we did a lot of Latin and Mexican. Usually I go with no more than 2 of these. And we're not getting too far into food, but I also always bring butter and some other spices that I usually put into this can as well. So these guys fit right down inside of there, and then the lid goes on, and we're good to go. Last up, before we get to the addition, is cleanup. And so this I picked up 6-7 years ago. It's a dog bowl, but it's a great kitchen sink. And everything, when I go down to the river or the pond, I can clean up in that, rinse, keep things sort of organized, and clean up camp nice and tidy. So again, we don't get any critters. Biodegradable camp soap. These are the sponges that I actually use in my house. And I always bring a fresh one and toss it after the trip is done. Super last but not least, I have a series of different ditty bags and mesh bags that I put all that stuff in so that when I'm grabbing into my pack, I know exactly where my kitchen is. I pull out this big red bag. This bag usually goes inside of that with some of the smaller items that I showed you in it. I can set up the camp kitchen really quickly. I have a new piece of gear, and I'm trying it out for the first time on this trip. It has been decades for some of these pieces of gear, and I don't like to replace things unless I have to. I needed a different water pot. This is my oldest piece of camping gear, and it still works great, but I needed something that is double, if not more, in height, but I didn't want to lose the circumference because I like the compactness of this. So what I wound up with was this GSI 1250 milliliter pot. Circumference-wise, they're relatively close. This is slightly bigger, maybe a ½ an inch in circumference bigger, but in terms of the height, this is a lot higher. It also has this built-in handle that I think is pretty slick. But what this is going to let me do is it's going to boil a little bit more water if I want to, or it's going to allow me to boil enough water that I can then put some sealed bags of food in the water to reheat. So kind of like boil, reheat, but I'm going to simmer it down real low and almost recreate a sous vide atmosphere, which is what I've been using to prepare camping meals lately. Oh yeah, if you like this kind of stuff, which I don't do that much, leave me a comment or a thumbs up, because I could do more gear stuff because I'm super gearhead, but I don't really share that much with y'all. That does it for my camp kitchen. This new item is going to go on the trail with us this week. But all that other stuff I have honed through the last 30 years, and love that I've got all these little tiny little pieces of this kit. I'll report back on this, and I'll see you on the next video, which will probably be after I get out of the woods.